Well, it's wrap on the show 2024 here in Costa Mesa at the Costa Mesa Hilton. It was a wonderful 3 days, very fun, lots of exciting things, and we're gonna jump right into the best of the shows, the things that I thought were notable, exciting new things that showed up here. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to HiFi Turtle, the #1 reptile adjacent hi-fi page on the internet, bringing the audiophile out of their shell. Like I said, we are fresh back from Costa Mesa from the Home Entertainment Show, also known as T.H.E Show 2024 in Southern California, and it was an awesome time. This show is a very different show than ones that I have been to in the past, and actually it is my first audio show outside of Expona. I've been going to Expona for many years, but this is my first non-Expona show. So it was very exciting and very interesting to see a different audio show, an audio show in a different region, and the differences between the two shows. Of course, there's pluses and minuses to both shows. The show is a much smaller show. It has a lot of brands that are local to the area, and I think that's really cool because these are a lot of smaller brands, small businesses, brands that you're not going to see at any of these larger shows in North America or Munich, Hong Kong, internationally. They're just going to be at this local show, and I think that's really cool. So we saw brands like Aperion Audio, Auribus Acoustics, MC Audio Tech, and a couple others that I just typically don't see at other shows. And some brands that I really like T.H.E, are able to get these larger rooms where in some of the larger shows, they're pushed out by these legacy vendors or vendors that have just been around in the American market for longer than they have, or they have more presence and market share. Also, being a smaller show, it gave me the opportunity to actually listen more and feel more like I was attending the show versus just purely being there as media. One of the stark differences from being a consumer at the show back in the day before I started this whole channel and everything was you can just pick and choose what you want to listen to, go into a room, listen for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you want to do, and then move on to the next. There's no pressure to create content, take pictures, take videos, anything like that, talk about the product, maybe do an interview with the person in the room or the brand later on. And being media, that is absolutely the case. It's very hard to sit down and listen to these rooms for a prolonged amount of time because you just have to get to the next and cover the next and get to these appointments that you're making for interviews and exclusive photos, locking down the room, all these things going on. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos. If you've never done it before, you have no idea because it's absolute chaos. But I really appreciated that since this was a smaller show, around like Saturday at like 2, 3 o'clock, we had pretty much seen every room at that point. So at that point, we were able to say, okay, well, what were our favorites? Let's go back to those. Let's hang out with those a little bit longer. Let's listen to those a little bit more in depth and understand if these are truly going to be our highlights for the show, or if we just heard something really good and it's actually kind of mediocre. But that probably wasn't the case in the most part. I would say that the rooms that we did like and we went back to were like, yeah, this is still really good. Another distinctive quality to the show was its appeal to lifestyle brands and lifestyles. In the Steinway Lingdorf room, Steinway Lingdorf had 3 distinct setups, one of which was a $50,000 speaker. That's per speaker, that is meant to be mounted to yachts. If that is not lifestyle, I don't know what is. But in that room was not just Steinway Lingdorf, but also a few other vendors. They weren't really audio vendors. They were vendors who were selling high-end network equipment, high-end watches, high-end bags and shoes and leather goods, high-end coffee, high-end desserts. Very, again, high-end things that were not directly audio related or even audio related at all, but played into that lifestyle idea, that feeling of luxury and just catering to that lifestyle customer. And speaking of outside of the show and lifestyle, I have to give a big thanks to Ted Denny from Synergistic Research. He took a few of us to his factory, which was 10 minutes away. He drove us in his Ferrari, so I got to ride in Ted's 458 Spider to the factory, and that was a really cool experience. I don't know which one was cooler, riding in the Ferrari, taking turns at 75 miles per hour, where I thought I was going to die, or going to the factory and listening in his dedicated $250,000 listening room, and that's just to build the room. On top of that, the equipment that is in that room with the Magico M3s, the Rels, the Macintosh equipment, all the Synergistic stuff is definitely costs more than his Ferrari, but I will say it's hard to choose between one or the other in that instance. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show and some of the best rooms that I saw at the Home Entertainment Show 2024. The first room I have to give a big shout out to is the Elac room. Elac brought their new debut 3.0 speaker that is going to start shipping in August. It hasn't released yet, but they brought a bookshelf and a floor stander. I don't remember the model names, but the bookshelf is $449 for the pair. It does exclude stands. And then the floor stander is $999 for the pair. So both speakers that they showed off were less than $1,000. And wow, when I was listening, and by the way, I was listening to the bookshelves first, which I could not believe. I thought it was going to be like $2,000, $1,500, and they switched to the floor stander, and I thought $3,000, $3,500, something like that. And then they told us the price, and both were under $1,000. And I thought to myself, I can't believe that. I honestly cannot believe that. They used all Elac electronics, which were fairly modest in price as well. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that's going into this debut 3.0, which is the entry level into Elac. They have the Amarin fiber drivers. This is a three-way design for the floor stander, and then two-way for the bookshelf. The same tweeter for both, and the tweeter is now an aluminum tweeter, not a soft dome like we saw in the 2.0, and it has this wave guide on the front of the tweeter that helps to control the dispersion, and it sounded really, I'm telling you, it sounded really, really good. And again, for this price point to sound this good, wow, that was so impressive. I think that this is a easy recommendation to all those out there who are interested in audio, don't know where to start here, because for not a lot of money, you can get a lot of high quality sound. The next room that was a huge talk at the show was the Audio Group Denmark room. They were debuting the new C3. This is the North American debut. They did debut the C3 out in Munich. The C1, which was the first we saw from the new C series, was debuted at Expona, but this is a floor stander. It is a 2.5-way floor stander. It costs $38,500, so it's definitely up there in the price, but it is a very impressive loudspeaker. It's got a lot of technology that trickles down from their flagship M series, including the same exact tweeter, although a little tweaked on, of course, the crossover and some of the more internal parts, but the same ribbon that is used in the M series has trickled down to the C series. The driver itself has been updated to a neodymium magnet motor, and there is the honeycomb sandwich between the carbon fiber cones that make up the driver. Externally, you see on the side panel the carbon fiber. Now, the carbon fiber extends all the way down the sides of this speaker. It is reinforced with that 1mm carbon fiber all the way on the sides. While there is a portion where you can see the woven portion of that carbon fiber, the rest is just painted. It's all carbon fiber. Don't think that they just put one little strip of carbon fiber on the side and called it, you know, whatever. It's fully reinforced on the side. The porting mechanisms are just similar to Borresen. They have multiple very small ports. It kind of looks like a Corvette exhaust, but the mid-range tweeter, mid-range arrangement is not, I wouldn't call it open baffle, but it is a more open design. I don't know if I'd call it slot ported. It's kind of an interesting design. I'll show the video here where you can see the back of it, but it is a more open design, and this is something that we're also seeing on the new T series from Borresen. So again, that trickle-down technology from those upper echelon models of Borresen are making it down into the quote-unquote lower-end models from Borresen, even though this is a $38,500 speaker, like I said. They were driving these with the new Axis model, the Axis being the even more accessible version of Borresen and AVIC. So they have speakers and electronics. They did not have the speakers, but they had the electronics with the X3 and the C3, both the same set of electronics. So, and it sounded just really good. It was a very powerful, very convincing speaker, and I love all the music that Borresen plays and the Audio Group Denmark guys play because it's never boring, it's always exciting, and I always come away with that room with at least 2 to 3 songs that I've never heard before, but are going to make it in and be listened to again. Something else I was looking forward to, but honestly really surprised me at the show, was the Auribus Acoustics headphones. This is their first product. It's going to be shipping very soon. There is a very special price on the headphones for those who pre-order early. That is $749, and then it goes up. I believe that the price is going up to $899. So it is going up if you don't pre-order it essentially, but even at the full price, I think it's an absolute steal. It is a very, I will say, DIY kind of looking project, but it is absolutely a passion project. Juan, who is the owner, is a young guy, which is, again, very rare to see in audio, but he obviously knows a lot and knows what he's talking about because these things sounded amazing. I listened to the pair, they had several different amplifiers that were on the table. I listened to the pair that was hooked up to the JDS Labs amp and DAC, and that sounded fantastic. And I think that whole setup is around $1,000, maybe even a little less when you factor in the early order price. But it sounded amazing. The highs were so crisp, the soundstage was so wide, the bass hit really deep. It is a 50mm dynamic driver. It's all 3D printed. It's made right there in Long Beach, so not too far away from the show, and it was just fantastic. Going across the hall to another vendor where they're selling much, much, much more expensive headphones by very well-known and professional brands, you could not get me to shell out nearly $10,000 for the setups that I heard on the other side when you can have, in my opinion, higher quality sound for around $1,000. You could not get me to pay that. Again, it is a initial product. It is a little DIY looking. It is 3D printed, so it's got that very 3D printed look to it. But if you can get past that and just care about the sound quality, you will not be disappointed by these headphones. I'm really proud of Juan for taking this endeavor and being so serious because I've seen him craft this brand up for a few years now, and now it's finally ready to launch and get their product out there. I was really excited to listen to this because I've seen his journey take its place on the internet, and seeing it in real life, listening to it in real life, you can tell how passionate, how real this is for Juan. And again, if you're into headphones, I would highly encourage you to check it out. I would not be afraid to put down the $750 to get the early discount price. And I'm looking forward to getting a pair myself because, wow, what I heard, really, really impressive. And if my testimony is not enough, Daniel, Bass Therapy, who we all know and love, I told him he needs to listen to these headphones. I forced him to come down to the headphone area, and he hates headphones. There is not a headphone on this planet this guy likes. And he listened to them, and he told me after we left, because I wanted to make sure he was really serious about this, I asked him, I said, what did you really think? Because he told Juan that he liked them, but of course he's going to say that in front of the guy, right? But after we left the Headphonium, I asked him, what'd you really think of those headphones? And he said, those are the best headphones I've ever listened to. Like, I hate headphones, but those could get me to like headphones. So congratulations, Juan. You made a believer out of Bass Therapy. Another really cool room that I don't think you're going to see anywhere else at any other show was the Magic Beans audio room. Now, this was run by YouTube personalities Joe and Tell and Technodad, who are huge in this space, although I will say they're more focused on home theater things, and this is exactly what they were doing. They were showing off their Magic Beans audio, which is this room correction, DSP, EQ thing, kind of like Dirac or you know, Odyssey, if you're familiar with those. And they had a 11.2, I believe, set up. So they had some heights, they had left, rights, mids, rears, and they played some mixes that were actually mixed by Technodad, and that was super cool because you just had all those heights and you had a lot of electronic music, a lot of kind of rave and festival music, and it was all kind of circling around your head and going left, right, back, and it was jamming. It was really jamming. It was a lot of fun. They had the lights going. It was a very fun room to be in and definitely a very memorable room. So, okay, so I saved the best for last. This is going to be my top award. This is my best of the show 2024, and it goes to TAD. Wow. TAD Labs. TAD. they really just showed off an amazing room. Dave McElpour, who is the importer for T.H.E in the United States through Pad HiFi, he's always had these small rooms that I've heard, and they've always been really fantastic. Expona 2023 and 2024, the TAD room, some of the best rooms that I heard at that show. Now going to the show where they had a larger space, we're able to bring the Reference 1 TX speaker, TAD's flagship amps, flagship deck, flagship preamp, the best of the best from T.H.E. Absolutely the best of show. Absolute resolution, really forgiving, honestly, to some poorly recorded tunes, and just so much fun to listen to, so engaging, really deep, really detailed, amazing, and not the most expensive showing at the show either, but it was, in my opinion, the most impressive. And not only the Reference 1 TX, because that was something to behold for sure. They did have the more compact version in the bookshelf. On the other side of their room, they had the more modestly priced TAD gear, and even that was just so engaging and so detailed and so precise and so wonderful sounding through a wide variety of music that I have to say it's unequivocally TAD having the best room at the show. That's going to wrap it up on the HiFi side. It was a really fun show. I got to meet some of you out there. It was really cool to meet all of you. Thank you so much for supporting me, and thanks for coming to say hi. It was really cool to see people that have watched me, whether, again, they are on the consumer side or they're actually on the professional side, so that was very cool as well. Again, being a smaller show, I got to make some really great connections with people in the industry and people that were working this show who were all wonderful, and I have to give a big shout out to Emiko, who is the president and owner of the show. She did a fantastic job and just so welcoming and really helped me be able to attend this show, cover it, bring all that content to you guys, which of course there will be much more content, so make sure you're following, subscribed on Instagram as well, because a lot of that stuff is going to get posted there. And it was just a great time, a great show. I hope it has many more years of success, and maybe I'll see you there next year. We'll see. But until then, a great show, another one in the books. Really happy. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Check the links below in the description for other ways to help support the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.